this is Scott Abels. I'm the president of PrepJet, and I want to talk to you for a few minutes about how to get inside your head. Now, I know I'm not going to be able to do that here, but you know, a lot of people who write me often ask me, how do I know I'm going to pass, or what does the mindset need to be for someone who is going to pass? Let me tell you something. In the 30 plus years I've been doing this, I might feel terribly confident about someone's ability to pass. I have never, in fact, there's people probably going to watch this video, people in our Facebook group, people I've worked with. In some cases, I've suggested that they postpone their exam date by, say, 30 days. And if I do, I'm not going to charge them. I will waive the fee. Why? Because we understand real world things, and one of them is self-confidence. If you've made an investment with us, I don't see any reason why you should be penalized because you don't believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself and you're using PrepJet, then there's something wrong. There's a disconnect. If you've set up a structured study schedule, if you have mastered the key concepts in our summaries for the Big Six, if you've been scoring 70+%, let's say 75% on tests 1, 2, 3, 4, and test 5, and you've actually taken test 6, which is very difficult, it's our newer items, and read the explanations and written notes, if you've used the pull-down menus to determine strengths and weaknesses by domain for the Big Six, then there's no reason for you to be worried. You know, it's sort of like a child who's afraid to sleep in the dark, and you want to tell them that you turn the light on. Do you see anything? No, there's nothing here. Turn off the light. I don't see anything either. You see, it's convincing people sometimes that they just need to believe in themselves. The hardest thing, of course, is that we deal with people who've come to us after spending thousands of dollars with other brands, and they failed on average 4 to 5 times. I've said this, and it continues to be the case with about 65%. You know, a year ago, it was almost 100%. Everybody came to us when they failed. They didn't know about us because we don't spend a lot of money on marketing. It's a program of attraction. But I think what attracts people is that there's only so many of us. We all have been in this industry longer than our competitors. We've been doing this longer than anybody, actually, in North America. And I think that between myself, Diane, Dr. Horry, and Ingrid, Andrew, and Gerard, all the people that contribute to what we do, Stephen, all of us are committed to you believing in you. See, if you don't believe in you, then reading is going to be a complete waste of time. Taking mock exams is going to be a complete waste of time. If you don't believe in you, then you might as well just stop until you wake up and decide, I'm ready to pass. Now, I can look at scores and get an idea of strengths and weaknesses, but I've had people pass the EPPP using PrepJet when their scores were light, when they weren't exactly where I'd like them to be. But that's because you're always going to be asked about things that you do know about. You just don't know that you know about it until you see it. You know, I could take one mock exam item, write it 5 different ways, and you'll get it right half the time and you'll get it wrong half the time. If that's the case, then we're not ready. We need to get you to understand that the question is essentially the same, it's just worded differently. You don't want to be dependent on this is the answer to this question. This is the problem. And I learned, I was an apologist for what I did for decades because we did emphasize quite heavily on taking tests. But I always knew in my heart, going back to my years when I was a law student, that taking exams teaches me one thing. I know this answer to this question. That means absolutely nothing. So the thing I want you to know is this. You have good reason to believe in yourself. Number 1, you're educated. You spend a lot of money to be called doctor. 2, you have a supervisor that has entrusted you to do work. 3, if you're getting 50%, which you may think is a low number, that means at least you know half the content. And if we know half, then how do we get you up to 80%? 75%. Think about this. If you get a 75% on one of our mock exams, and all 225 of our questions are scored, No experimental questions like on the real EPPP, where 50 are pre-test and not scored. So think about this. I got a 75% on 225 questions. That's not just passing the EPPP, that's blowing it out of the water. You can do it, but you have to believe that. The people I talked to, the successful applicants, I don't think they were ever bold or went into the exam. They just told themselves, I'm going to pass. This doesn't define me. I know more than just the answer to a question. I understand a concept. This is why the summaries are so important. The quiz questions that follow the summaries merely reinforce, do you understand what you just read? You don't want to obsess about those. You can come back and take them later if you want, but don't move on to the next summary if you're missing a lot of the quiz questions because it's not sticking. When you know that you've mastered a summary because of those quiz questions, you move on. Take brief notes. Don't write a study volume, just write brief notes. And the notes should consist of things I never knew or things that conflict with what I thought I knew. Those are the only two types of notes you should take. Keep it simple. Doing these things is going to help you. I need to take a pause and I'll start again. So if I go through a mock exam and I'm scoring 75%, again, I want to reinforce this. That is blowing the real EPPP out of the water. And let me take it a step further. If you're scoring that well on all of our exams, more than likely you're ready to take the EPPP. Yet there are people who will say, I'm not ready. Why? Why aren't you ready? I just don't feel confident, Scott. I hear this a lot. But if I tell you you are ready, then why don't you just believe me? See, I have nothing to gain. I actually would lose if I encouraged you to take an exam knowing you'd fail. I'd be a very, very bad businessman and I wouldn't have any ethics. And I believe that there should be ethics in test preparation programs because you have entrusted us with your hard-earned money. So the bottom line, how do you know you're ready to pass? How does anyone know? When we both talk, we both look at the big picture, and you say, I know more now about clinical psychology than I ever imagined. You need to believe in yourself, and I know this is the hardest thing to do. So surround yourself with successful people. If you are in our Facebook group, you'll see the stories of marvelous people like Elizabeth, who didn't think she was going to pass during the exam. And she was running out of time. She still had a boatload of questions to answer. She had to go to the restroom. She came back. She answered the questions. She got a passing score beyond. In fact, I think I predicted she'd get a 530. I think she got a 540. The fact is, I don't care as long as it's a 500 or higher. I need you to pass. You can pass. Use the program properly. Master the concepts for the Big Six. Take the exams. Take one to get started to learn your baselines like test 4. Read, focus on the Big Six. Enter, disperse, maybe place an exam, say every 2 domains. So maybe I finish clinical psychopathology, I'll take a mock exam. Then I'll read 2 more summaries. Maybe for maybe physio and lifespan, I'll do all those and take another exam. The exams will reinforce that you know about this and you need to study more about that. The summaries, they are the key to the whole thing, along with the pull-down menus to help pinpoint strengths and weaknesses. If you use these tools, you'll pass. But if you don't believe that you're ready to pass, if you've been studying and you're struggling, and you're not, a premium client, you're a basic client or a plus client, and you're still worried, but your scores are high, you need to write me, scott@prepjet.net. And for anybody who needs anything, always feel free to write us at support@prepjet.net. And thank you very much for your time today.